Hi, in this video we are going to see accounting of banking companies, the theory part. Okay, concept and problems are very simple. So we are going to see definition. As per section 5 of the Banking Regulation Act, the banking is defined as the accepting for the purpose of lending or investment of deposit of money from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawal by check, draft, order or otherwise. Very simple definition of banking. Okay, so now we are going to see the features of banking company. So before we go into the features, what is a bank? We go to a bank or we do banking transactions on a daily basis, right? Being it working in a company or for your own purpose. We have all the banking facilities which we require to do day-to-day business. So banking, what is the main purpose of banks? To provide loans, to lend money, to accept deposits. We can also have other deposits like the cash deposit, then securities, shares, bonds. With the help of these securities or given as a collateral security, we can get loan from the bankers. Then we also have locker facilities in the bank, so we can keep our jewels and valuables in that locker. So different facilities are provided by the bank. So in this particular chapter, we are going to see from the banker's point of view how they are going to account everything in the books of accounts. It's actually a very simple concept. Okay, so let's go into the features of banking company. The borrowing, raising or taking up of money, lending or advancing of money either upon or without security, the granting and issuing of letter of credit, traveler's check and circular notes, buying and selling of bullion, the buying and selling of foreign exchange including foreign banknotes, contracting for public and private loans, negotiating and issuing the same, then undertaking and executing trust. The acquisition, construction, maintenance and alternation of any building or works necessary or convenient for the purpose of the company, carrying on and transacting every kind of guarantee and indemnity business, the collecting and transmitting of money and securities, undertaking the administration of estates as executor, trustee or otherwise. So these are all the broad functions or features of a banking company. So some general information which is very important. No banking company can carry on business in India unless its subscribed capital is not less than half of the authorized capital. One main or important condition is that the subscribed capital should be half or more than half of the authorized capital, and the paid up capital should be equal to half or more than half of the subscribed capital. So these two conditions are very important. A banking company cannot create any charge upon its uncalled capital. So what it means, only on the called capital, only on the portion of called capital a charge can be created. Charge means what? The banker will give loan amount, they will lend money for the paid or called capital portion only. The next point is every banking company shall transfer a sum equal to 25% of the profits to the statutory reserve. This is also a mandate requirement. The next point is a bank can open a branch only at the permission of the Reserve Bank, because Reserve Bank is called as the custodian of bank. So it is the most important bank. So all the banking regulations, all the instructions which has to be issued to the bank should be only from Reserve Bank of India. Now, accounting system. The accounting system of a banking company is different from that of a trading or manufacturing company. A bank has a large number of customers whose accounts are to be maintained in such a way so that these should be kept up to date. That is, updation is very, very important. So day-to-day transactions has to be updated in their respective accounts. Now, features of banking accounting system. Entries in the personal ledgers are made directly from the vouchers. From such entries in personal account each day, summary sheets are prepared. So from each personal account, summary sheets are prepared. The general ledger's trial balance is extracted and agreed every day. A trial balance of a detailed personal ledger is prepared periodically and get agreed with the general ledger. That is, both the trial balance and the general ledger will tally with each other. Two vouchers are prepared for every transaction not involving cash, debit and credit vouchers. Okay, these are the two vouchers which we are going to prepare. One is the debit voucher and the other is the credit voucher. Now, these are the mandatory books that are required to be maintained. Receiving cashier's counter cash book, paying cashier's counter cash book, current account ledger, loan ledger, cash credit ledger, investment ledger, saving bank account ledger, recurring deposit account ledger, bill discounted and purchase ledger. So from the name of this account or cash book itself, we can know what would be recorded in those books. Investment ledger means what are all the investments which has been made. All the details will be recorded in the investment ledger. Loan ledger, details of loan given to person or the name of the person, address, ID proof, whatever concerned to a loan. So all the details would be recorded in the loan ledger. Okay, so each and every ledger is quite similar to the banking functions, because bank will give loan to the customers or to the public, so they have to maintain a loan ledger. Bank also gives cash credit to its clients, so it also has to maintain a cash credit ledger. Then bank can make investment in its own bank or in any other bank, or it can also buy assets or securities from any other company. So to maintain that records, the bank is required to maintain an investment ledger. Now, savings bank account ledger. There are many customers and clients in a bank. Each and every customer are different. Okay, so one customer might have to maintain a savings account. Another person might want a current account. That is, current account is mainly for business purpose and savings account is mainly for personal purpose. So when a person wants to open a saving account, then this saving bank account ledger has to be maintained. That's all. So all are very, very important books that are required to be maintained. Now, what are the principal books of accounts? First is the cash book. This book gives the summary of the receiving cashier's counter cash book and paying cashier's cash book. It is nothing but the receipts and payments, what cash has been received and what cash has been paid, that's all. Next is the general ledger. This ledger contains the control account for subsidiary ledger listed above and accounts of expenses and assets that are not covered by the subsidiary ledger. Now, some notes and instructions for compilation of financial statements of a banking company. So these are the important notes. The formats of balance sheet and P&L account cover all items likely to appear in these statements. The word current year and the previous year used in the formats are only to indicate the order of presentation and may not appear in the accounts. Figures should be rounded off to the nearest thousand. Banks prepare their accounts according to the Banking Regulation Act 1949. The final accounts of the bank are in vertical format. The final accounts consist of A. P&L account, B. P&L appropriation account and C. Balance sheet. There are 16 schedules in the final accounts of the balance sheet. Now, this is the format of a balance sheet. Okay. So we have capital schedule 1, reserves and surplus schedule 2, deposits schedule 3, borrowing schedule 4, other liabilities schedule 5 and total of the liabilities. Then next is the assets. Cash in hand and with RBI schedule 6, balance with other bank and money at call and short notice schedule 7, investments schedule 8, advances schedule 9, fixed assets schedule 10, other assets schedule 11, then total of all assets. So here also the assets and liabilities must tally. Next we have contingent liabilities. For this we have a separate schedule which is schedule number 12. So contingent liabilities is very important. from exam point of view. Next is the P&L account statement or the format. First we have income, that is interest earned, schedule 13, other income, schedule 14, and the total of income. Next we have the expenditure, interest earned, interest expended, interest expended, schedule 15, operating expenses, schedule 16, provision and contingencies, no schedule. So total of expenditure. Now what is the profit? It is income minus expenditure, that is A minus B is your profit. So we get the net profit during the year, that is nothing but A minus B. Then we have the profit of the last year, that is last year profit brought forward to the current year. So we would add the last year profit brought forward in the current year, we would add. So that will be the total profit which is available for appropriation. So from this total profit available for appropriation, we will divide the amount into statutory reserve, general reserves or other reserve, proposed dividend, and the balance amount would go to the balance sheet. Okay, so for statutory reserve, what is the general rule? 25% of the profit should be transferred to statutory reserve. Okay, that is the rule. Then general reserve, the percentage would be given in the question. So we must apply that percentage in the profit amount and we will find the general reserve amount. Now proposed dividend also, it would be given in the question. Okay, then after dividing it or after distributing the profit amount towards statutory reserve, general reserve and proposed dividend, the balance profit is there, right? So that profit has to be taken to the balance sheet. Now these are the working notes, that is the schedules. Okay, so first is capital, that is schedule 1. We have equity share capital, preference share capital, less call in arrear, add call in advance, and add forfeited shares, that is shares forfeited. Now schedule 2, reserves and surplus. We have statutory reserve, general reserve, capital reserve, investment fluctuation reserve, workman compensation fund, sinking fund, surplus of P&L appropriation account, building fund, depreciation fund, tax fund, capital redemption reserve. So all these reserves would come in schedule 2. So for all these reserves, what we have to do is, with the opening balance, we have to add the additions, that is opening balance plus additions minus deductions. Okay, for all the reserve we have to calculate this, opening balance plus additions minus deductions. Next is schedule 3, deposits. Fixed deposit, saving deposit, current account, recurring deposit. LC means letter of credit. Okay, letter of credit account. Then other deposits except income tax deposit. So all deposits will come in schedule 3. Next is schedule 4, that is borrowing. So under this we have borrowing from RBI, borrowing from other banks, and borrowing in India or outside India. Then we have schedule number 5, that is other liabilities. So under this we have bills payable, outstanding expenses, unpaid dividend, income received in advance, inter-office adjustment, reserve for unexpired discount. Next is schedule number 6, that is cash in hand and cash with RBI. So we have cash in hand with the bank and balance cash with the RBI. The next schedule number 7 is balance with other bank and money at call and short notice. So under this schedule we have balance with the other bank, money at call and short notice. What is this money at call and short notice? It is nothing but your short term loan given by bank to its esteemed customers. So the customers are divided between, there are many kinds. Okay, so customers can also be called as esteemed customers. That means the customers has already created a good name or reputation for themselves. What is the meaning of reputation? It is nothing, very simple. They would have taken the loan from the bank and they would have repaid it correctly within the particular due date. So that is why they are called as esteemed customer. Now schedule number 8, that is investment. So under schedule 8 we have government securities, bonds, mutual funds, equity shares of other companies, gold, etc. Next is schedule 9, advances. We have term loan, bank overdraft, cash credit and bill discounted. Then schedule 10, fixed assets. We have premises, furniture, fixture, equipments, land and building, machinery, plant and machinery, motor vehicle, computer. So all assets, all fixed assets would come in this schedule. Then schedule number 11, other assets. We will have prepaid expenses, silver, non-banking asset, inter-branch adjustment, accrued income, stamp in hand. Then schedule 12, contingent liability. So this schedule is very important. Contingent liability is very important. Okay, so under this we have bill receivable or bill for collection, forward exchange transactions, future contracts, acceptance, endorsement and guarantee, liability for bills rediscounted, disputed liabilities, income tax under appeal, income tax deposits, claims not acknowledged as debts, and liability for partly paid investments. The next schedule 13 is interest earned. Under schedule 13 we have interest on term loan, interest on cash credit, interest on bank overdraft, discount on bills discounted, income on investment, interest in the balance with RBI, and any other interest income. Next is schedule 14, that is other income. We have draft making charges, commission, exchange and brokerage amount, locker rent, dividends, profit on exchange of transactions, transfer fees and registration fees, profit on sale of fixed asset, less loss on sale of fixed asset, profit on sale of investment, less loss on sale of investment, profit on revaluation of fixed assets or investments and miscellaneous income. Next is schedule 15, that is interest expended. Okay, interest that has been spent. So we have interest on fixed deposit, interest on recurring deposit, interest on savings deposit, interest on borrowings from RBI and other banks, and interest on any other deposit. Next is schedule number 16, which is operating expenses. We have rent, rates and taxes, insurance, salary, director fee, management fee, printing and stationery, audit fee, depreciation, provident fund of employees, general expenses, law charges, advertisement and publicity, repair and maintenance, and sundry charges. So all the expenses relating to operations or manufacture will come in this schedule. So next is provisions and contingencies. All the provisions will come in this schedule. So we have bad debts, provision for doubtful debt, provision for taxation, provision for contingencies, provision for depreciation and other provisions. Now explanation to some terms relating to balance sheet. So first is money at call and short notice. Very important. This item appears on the asset side of a bank balance sheet and represents temporary loan to bill brokers and other banks. If the loan is given for 1 day, okay, if the loan is given for 1 day, then it is called as money at call. And if the loan cannot be called back on demand and will require at least a notice of 3 days for calling back, it is called as money at short notice. So short notice means only 3 days notice will be given. It also includes deposits repayable within 10 days or less than 15 days notice lent in the interbank call money market. The rate of interest on which money is lent fluctuate every day. Sometimes it will fluctuate very sharply, that is by more than 30%, depending on the demand and supply of money. So next is advances. Advances appear on the asset side as fourth head and include loans, cash credit, bank overdraft and bill discounted and purchased. Bank generally advance money to their customers in the form of loan, cash credit, overdraft and purchasing and discounting of bills. Provisions in respect of doubtful advances are deducted from the advance to the extent necessary, and the excess provision for doubtful debt is included under other liabilities and provisions. So the excess provision for doubtful debts will come under other liabilities and provisions. Cash credit. It is an arrangement by which the customer is granted the right to borrow money from time to time upon a certain limit. Cash credit is usually given on hypothecation or pledge of stock. Cash credit means it is a type of loan which is given by the bank, but the bank will get a security. It will hypothecate or pledge the stock or inventories. The bank usually charges a high rate of interest on the actual amount withdrawn than that charged on loan, because the bank has to keep the amount allowed as cash credit. So next is overdraft. This facility is available to a customer who operates a current account with the bank. This facility is granted to customers who have high goodwill and need for honest dealing. Overdraft is nothing that we get money over and above our balance. That is balance, whatever we are having in the bank account, we will get 5 or 10% more than that. For example, if we have 10 lakhs in a bank account and if we are in need of 12 lakhs of amount, so we can withdraw 12 lakhs from the bank. So this balance 2 lakhs would be as a given by the banker as overdraft facility. Next is loan. Loan is advance of fixed amount to a customer to be withdrawn in lump sum by him. Interest is charged on the total amount of the loan agreed to be paid to a customer, whether he uses the full amount of loan or not. So customer prefer to take cash credit and pay interest at a little higher rate. Next is discounting of bills. Discounting of bill means making the payment of bill before the maturity date of the bill. While making payment of the bill, the bank deducts the discount for the unexpired period for the amount of bills discounted. So this line is very important, so please be careful. While making payment of the bill, the bank deducts the discount for the unexpired period, only for unexpired period, for the amount of bill discounted. The bank keeps the bill with it till the maturity day and get its payment for the customer on the due date. Next is purchasing and discounting of bills. The bank may purchase or discount clean or documentary bills at the current rate of interest. Next is non-banking assets. A banking company is not allowed to deal directly or indirectly in the purchase or sale or barter of goods except in connection with its legitimate banking business. So barter means exchange of goods for goods. Instead of making payment in cash, they would exchange goods for goods. A bank can always lend against the security of assets. The bank may have to take possession of the asset given as a security if the loanee fails to repay the loan amount. Next is rebate on bills discounted or unexpired discounts. This item is like interest received in advance and represents unearned discount for those bills which will mature after the closing of the financial accounts. So next we are going to see the journal entries for rebate on bills discounted. Entry is rebate on bill discounted account debit to discount earned, and then it is discount earned account debit to P&L account. Bill discounted account debit to customer account to discount earned account, and then discount earned account debit to P&L account to rebate on bill discounted. So if the date of bill is not given and the month of maturity after close of the year is given, so we would add 3 days of grace period to calculate the bill date. Okay, this is the basic rule. We would read this bills discounted, rebate or discount on bills in paper number 5 under financial accounting. We have a separate chapter, so in that chapter we will read it more in detail.